What's up, Yugi Bros, and welcome to a new segment I'm calling my Quick Draw segment, where we take a deck, we deep dive into it for a little while, we have a list, we talk about it a little bit, and then we do some duel videos. So today's first episode is going to be about Destiny and Dragoon Turbo, or Dragoon Turbo, or, God, it's crazy to say Dragoon Turbo when you think of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and it's crazy to think of a Destiny Hero fusion that runs the game when you think of DPE. But Speed Duels has its own Dragoon now in Destiny and Dragoon, so let's talk about it, shall we? This card is comprised of both Destiny Hero Plasma and Destiny Hero Dogma. Now, normally you would think, well, how are you going to fuse both of those? You'd have to do it from the hand. Putting them both on the field is too much commitment. This doesn't seem like it'd be that consistent, and at first glance you might think that, but after a little bit of testing you realize, oh, actually this is pretty damn consistent for Speed Duels. First off, a fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials, therefore something like Goddess with the Third Eye can't be used to make this card. It has to be listed as Plasma and Dogma, so that's a no-go. So this card is actually really oppressive. It's crazy to think that in Speed Duels we have something like this, but here we go. So it's 3,000, it's Destiny and Dragoon. It's not a Destiny hero. But it takes two Destiny heroes. Its effect is once per turn you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, and if it was face up, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack it had on the field. So attack it had on the field doesn't mean original attack, doesn't mean specifics, it's whatever it had in the field. If it's a relinquished and you destroy it, and relinquished absorb the blue eyes, you're doing 3,000 to them. With this card, in addition to destroying the monster. Now, Relinquish is a bad example, because the monster would probably die instead of Relinquish, but I digress. The point is, this thing can blow up anything, and give you free damage. Now, the downside is you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect, but I feel like that's a justifier, considering the fact that not only are you spot removaling something on the board, you're doing damage to your opponent, and in 4,000 life point Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing damage through this effect, especially when it's the full attack, is kind of nuts. Its other effect is once per turn during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish the Destiny Hero card, I should say, from your grave to special summon this card back. What's nuts about that is it doesn't matter how it hits the graveyard, doesn't matter how it got there, as long as it was properly summoned, of course. You're bringing this boy back every turn, which is ridiculous. Considering you're fusing Dogma and Plasma, you're putting two materials in your graveyard, so this thing's coming back a total of 2 other times outside of the first time it hit the board, minimum. Now, obviously there are ways to out this, such as like DD Warrior Lady, or DD Crow if this is in the graveyard, or something to shuffle it back into the extra deck, such as D-Fusion. So it's not like it's foolproof, but most things in this game currently destroy, or give you big enough attack points to destroy over something. So this is very oppressive as of right now. So let's get into the deck list and talk about how we facilitate this card to the field. First off, we play triple Dogma, triple Plasma. Those are the materials listed. You're playing a turbo deck to try to just hit these as soon as possible so you can fuse them. You're playing triple Breaker the Magical Warrior because we are playing Allure of Darkness. This is the best normal summon in the game, and it also is dark, so it facilitates your Allure a lot better. Triple Severe Karibo, it's the best defensive card in the game, and it's dark, so you facilitate Allure. Triple Book of Moon, because it's the best disruption card in the game. And double Cosmic Cyclone to round out the order. I figured not triple. You're playing Breaker already. You already have 5 ways with these to destroy spell and trap 8. But obviously we side a few extra cards. We side a Kaiku. And the side deck, by the way, for these videos can be very generic. You can go completely different routes. But this is how I feel like the best way to look at this is. You could play, we were playing one Kaiku because he's also dark, facilitates Allure, banishes cards out of the graveyard and prevents your opponent from banishing. Depending on the matchup, this card is still really powerful. One Polymerization. I know this is crazy, right? You wouldn't expect this. You could substitute it out for Future Fusion if you wish. You could also just not play either one of these. But the downside of this deck is if they do out your Destiny and Dragoon, you don't really have a follow-up in this deck. You're just basically playing Breaker control. And unless you can summon 3 monsters to tribute for a Plasma and keep the Plasma on the board, it's not the same as having this card come back every turn. So playing one extra Polymerization gives us the ability to make another one. Or make a Destiny Hero Dangerous, which takes a dark monster, a dark effect monster, and a Destiny Hero. These are dark monsters, so you can use them if you're in a sticky situation where this is 2026, not the greatest thing in the world, but it does gain a little extra attack depending on if you use its effect or not. but mainly giving you access to another Destiny and Dragoon if a deck is very fluent in getting rid of your first one isn't terrible to have as a second one. We side one Defusion. I feel like this card's really good right now against a lot of things, especially this. If you defusion this, they can't summon back the Dogma and the Plasma from the graveyard because Dogma and Plasma cannot be special summoned except by their own effect. So this foolproof just gets rid of this card and doesn't have it keep coming back every turn. We play one double Cyclone. Now, you don't have to play double Cyclone. I'm messing with it because if I want my Spell and Trap removal to resolve, I want it to be very quick. You could also sub this out for a Night Beam. You could sub this out completely. You could play a Dust Tornado. Just a little extra Spell and Trap hate in case we want to really make a big push. But I like this card because not only can you chain it with Book of Moon or Cosmic or the Allure you're going to activate here to get you free advantage essentially in popping your own card, but your own card doesn't have to, be relevant in that situation. But also, it's just a mass removal. It's an MST. It's the best all-around Spell and Trap hate card. And the thing with Night Beam is it has to be set cards. The thing with Dust is you have to set it for a turn, so I figured this is a little bit more generic. One Mind Crush, because it's really good against Cyber Angels, but it's also good against anything that generically searches as it is. And one Lost Winds, your Jack of all trades, effect negation. I only have the Future Fusion here as an option instead of playing your Polymerization. What's nice about Future Fusion is you can load up your grave even further with more Destiny heroes so that you can keep recurring your Destiny and Dragoons effect if it's destroyed. But how do we summon this card if we're not maining any fusion cards? Insert Fusion Party. We're playing this skill. Once per duel, it allows us to basically use Polymerization free of charge. And therefore, we don't have to draw it. So as soon as we have both the Plasma and the Dogma, we can go ahead and just make our Destiny and Dragoon immediately, put it to the board. Like I said, however, this is once per duel, and this deck doesn't really have a follow-up, so I don't mind siding the other Polymerization if a deck is very efficient in getting rid of your Destiny end. But other than that, let's test this out in some games, shall we?
more amazing Speed Duel content, subscribe to Yuka Bros. Welcome to the Shadow Realm.